Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome back to a blood-splattered vlog. I'm the horror guru.
I'm Count Chocula.
And today we're going to talk about Bystanders, a horror revenge movie from director Mary Beth McAndrews in her directorial debut. And believe me, it shows. This movie is incredibly micro-budget, and it's rough around every possible edge, but there's a charm to it that we'll explain as we talk about it.
Yeah.
Because when you watch this movie, you're going to be watching it going like, wow, this acting, wow, this cinematography, wow, this choreography. This movie feels like it should be on like a VHS shelf.
Yeah.
In like the 1980s, shot on Shitio. What is this? But there's an element to the movie that charmed the hell out of me and made me fall in love with it despite all of its flaws.
Yeah.
So the movie follows a group of college girls who are invited to a cabin in the woods by a bunch of frat boys who proceed to drug them, sexually assault them, and then they are gonna hunt them down one by one and kill them to get their jollies off. Ultimately, one girl gets away from them and runs into a couple that happened to be driving by. And luckily for her, this couple turns the entire night in on its head.
Yeah.
Hence Bystanders, by the way. They are, in fact, the bystanders. This movie is what we like to call a rape revenge movie, but it's one you haven't seen before. And that I gotta give a lot of credit for. It is a very unique premise.
Yeah.
Even if some of the execution is very rough, but I attribute that mainly to budget.
People have like different haircuts depending on the shot.
Oh yeah. I'm pretty sure one character has a drawn-on mustache in some shots.
Yeah.
And a full-on mustache in other shots, probably because he shaved the mustache off in between filming bits that probably took like months to put together. The action choreography in this is practically non-existent. The camera never moves, so they clearly didn't have a dolly or a drone of any kind.
Right.
So it's basically just static shots on a tripod for the whole time. And the acting is painfully amateur at times, and yet, this couple that's introduced in the second act of the movie, I adore them.
Yes.
We'll talk more about them in the spoiler section because there's some things about them that's revealed over the course of the movie, but they are this interesting combination of like, aw shucks, goofy, happy-go-lucky couple, but they have this dark side that makes them ultimately badass.
Yes. Oh, you picked on the wrong bystanders.
Yeah.
This is not going to go the way you want.
Anyone else, and this night would have gone a completely different way, but these two specifically you ran into, you're screwed.
Yeah.
It's so low budget that most of the time when someone dies, they have to do like a cutaway and then cut back to like the aftermath of it. Usually just blood and not really any prosthetics or anything.
Yeah. This movie is definitely saved by its story.
It is. It's saved by its story, and it's saved by the charisma of the couple that arrive.
Yeah.
Even though they are still about as on par with everyone else in terms of acting ability, there's a charisma to them and their characters that make them just so likable that you can't help but root for them.
Yeah.
And it helps that they're going up against a bunch of rapist frat bros.
Frat jocks, yeah.
So it's just like, screw these guys. These rich guys who all of a sudden the tables turn on them and they're all just like, oh, I'll call my dad. You'll go to jail forever. And you're just like, you were going to kill all these girls. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but of course, there's its social commentary.
Oh yeah, yeah. The social commentary it's wearing firmly on its sleeve.
Yeah.
Like it's right there. You can't miss it.
At the end, some like veteran character actors arrive.
On one hand, it was cool to see them.
Yes.
On the other hand, they were such a night and day difference in terms of quality to the rest of the movie that it's noticeable.
Yeah, it's very noticeable. You're like, oh, here are two trained actors.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or at the very least, two actors that have a lot of experience.
Yeah, have a lot of experience. you know, they know what they're doing.
We'll talk about that in the spoiler section because I don't know if they're actually advertised on the posters.
No,
anything.
they're not. They're not.
It's a very low budget, very rough rape revenge film with a surprising premise and some charismatic leads that carry it despite all of its flaws. It's not going to be for everyone, not just because of its subject matter, but because it is so low budget. Only like
it's very rough.
Someone like us that watches like shitty movies, like MST3K level movies,
yeah,
on a regular basis is going to be willing to sit through its roughness. roughness. But unlike a lot of MST3K movies, there actually is something here. You take this same script, you give the filmmakers like a couple $1 million to make like a at least Blumhouse level horror thriller movie. You cast some like bigger actors and you film this movie with an actual stunt crew. You get a dolly so you can like actually do some zoom in shots and stuff, and an actual like makeup effects crew to do like the actual like practical like gore effects. And you might actually have a rape revenge classic on your hands.
Yeah.
Even if they don't want to make a remake of this, I would love to see a sequel with a bigger budget.
Yeah.
El Mariachi to Desperado.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, like you're thinking like this is the El Mariachi, the next one would be the Desperado.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, the movie's currently available on various streaming platforms to rent or buy. I recommend you do if anything we've said has enticed you. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, let us move on to the spoilers.
The first big twist is that the bystanders, you could probably guess this, they're killers.
Yes, they are serial killers. They're like Dexter-like serial killers that target a very particular bad guy.
Yeah.
And that particular bad guy is rapists.
Yeah.
Because both of them had bad experiences when they were younger. Her in particular was actually raped as a child, and him had a bad experience with like domestic abuse. And so the two of them kind of grew up into like avenging angels.
Yeah.
For victims of those crimes. As you can imagine, these frat boys picked on the wrong bystanders in this movie. Now, I was a little misleading earlier because yes, the movie is called Bystanders because the couple are bystanders who step in and save the day. But it's actually more layered than that because over the course of the second half of this movie, the main character, the final girl for all intents and purposes, becomes a bystander watching the frat boys get mutilated and tortured.
Yeah.
And
she becomes the bystander to this couple.
Yeah. And by the end of the movie, has to kind of make a decision for herself if she wants to join in on this.
Is she going to be a killer or isn't she?
Yeah. Now, the couple doesn't want her to be, but there's a part of her that's just like, I'm just as broken as you guys now. Like, I can't go back after this. Like, my friends are dead. Like,
yeah. Everyone I care about is dead. I let you kill like 5 people. Like, how far down the block is it really?
The decision ends up being made for her because in another twist that ends up happening, the family of the like lead guy who's kind of leading the frat boys shows up, and his mom is played by
Hannah Fearman
of
VHS fame. She is the woman who plays I Like You.
Yes. First off, it's a great twist because it also like reveals that, oh, not only is the family in on it, they've done this multiple times. That also means that when they discover that their boys have been just completely mutilated and killed, they are going to try to kill the couple and the surviving girl, which means the surviving girl has to save the couple.
Yeah.
And ends up shooting the
father of the lead frat dude dead.
This is a very cathartic movie, to be completely honest. Like,
yeah, it is. It is.
Like, the best rape revenge movies do have that element of catharsis, but this movie feels like the proportion of catharsis to trauma leans far more on catharsis.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They don't linger too much on the
assault.
The assault.
No.
You know, they're just like, no, you get the idea.
Let's get to the fun part where we get to watch these dudes get their nuts cut off.
Yeah. And I feel like with extra budget, that's the kind of stuff that would have been on screen.
Yes, because a lot of it's like off screen and it's just like, oh, let's cut to someone reacting to them screaming and yada.
Yeah, like it definitely feels like a movie that like could do with a little Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
You know?
Which I feel like if they had the budget, they would have gone that far.
They probably would have.
So with that said, where can they find you, Count Jacula?
Now you can find me here on YouTube every weeknight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where I stream for at least 2 hours. Come on down around that period of time, see if I'm on. Sometimes I'm a little late. And chat at me, chat. Yeah.
Y'all know me, I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me on various social media platforms, but I primarily these days use Blue Sky, so follow me on there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages, and remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way, but we will certainly accept more. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, comment below. Be sure to comment below. I want you to comment below using the hashtag RoastedFratBro. That way I know. That way Jack knows. That way the whole world knows that that motherfucker got what he deserved. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, peace out, and we'll catch y'all later.